Good morning and welcome to Bay Area Focus. I'm your host, Michelle Griego. Today we'll hear from a local author from India about her book, a collection of short stories, and representatives from Jack London State Historic Park and Marin Open Studios. My first guest is John Comiskey, Vice President of the Wildlife Rescue Center of Napa County, and a very special guest, Maddie, a red-tailed hawk who we're going to bring in very slowly onto the set.
Good idea.
Yeah, Maddie's having a ball off camera, though. You can't see quite yet, but you will in just a few seconds. So let's talk 25th anniversary. You're busting it? Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bay Area Focus. I'm your host, Michelle Griego. Today, we'll hear from a local author from India about her book, a collection of short stories, and representatives from Jack London State Historic Park and Marin Open Studios. My first guest is John Comiskey, Vice President of the Wildlife Rescue Center of Napa County, and brings a very special guest. But first, John, the nonprofit has been going on for 25 years now.
It has. We started back in 1991, so 2016 is our 25th anniversary.
All right, and you've been doing a lot of work. Tell me about some of the work done over all these years.
Our mission at Wildlife Rescue is to help Napa wildlife. So we take in wildlife that is orphaned and injured. We call it rescue, and then we rehabilitate them. The ultimate goal is to either reunite them or release them, there's a difference, back into the wild of Napa County.
Explain that difference.
Well, reunite has to do with species that actually need some help. So there are ones, birds of prey, for instance, that don't actually have the instinctual background to take their lives on their own. They actually need their parents around for the first several months. And so when we get one of those in, if we're able, we reunite them with the parent back in the nest. Which can be an interesting experience at times.
Does it always work, or does it take some time for them to cozy up?
Well, it works most of the time. We've had great success this last year. It can be a little hairy. Sometimes it's as much as 80 feet in the air, and so we have some partnerships with arborists that help us get them up there. But certain species will be more prone to stay at the nest for periods while we're getting the youngster ready to go back. And they may leave the nest, and in those cases it might not be successful, but others will be there for a longer period of time, and we have great success with them, like great horned owls.
And you mentioned birds of prey, and you brought a special guest, Maddie, a red-tailed hawk, and Sarah, Maddie's handler. Of course, she's very special too. Tell me about Maddie as Sarah walks in with her.
Well, Maddie is what we call an ambassador animal. First off, she's a red-tailed hawk.
You can stand right over there by John. There you go.
So she's a bird of prey, many of them that we have in Napa. But an ambassador animal is one that has an injury that can't be released back into the wild. So Maddie is one of those. She's blind in one eye, but they serve a really important function because some of what we're doing much more nowadays than we did in the past is community outreach and education. And Maddie's a pretty dramatic example of wildlife that inspires people's love of nature and therefore their ability to help nature out. So Maddie's part of that program, and she's in events around Napa County and other places, as the case may be.
I'm sure Maddie's very popular. She's beautiful.
Well, just getting here, actually, we were stopped 2 or 3 times on the street for people to take pictures with Maddie and to ask about her. So she's a great educational animal.
How old is Maddie?
She's 2.
She's 2.
Yeah, she was injured back when she was a baby. And so here's an example. A red-tailed hawk needs to spend a fair amount of time with the parents to learn how to fly and hunt. And so Maddie actually got injured before she learned to effectively hunt. And because of that, she was more appropriate for an ambassador animal. There are other species, squirrels and things like that, that are pretty well pre-programmed. And all they need to do is be cared for in terms of food and warmth until they're old enough to go out.
So it's interesting because this has been going on for 25 years now, but the center is the only organization of your type in the North Bay area. It's different. It's very different, right? It doesn't have a permanent facility.
We're the only ones that don't have a full range permanent facility. So we have been operating for 25 years and have helped thousands of animals in the 25 years. And we do have a facility up off of Silverado Trail, but there are certain, and home rehabbers, I should say, who handle individual species at their homes. They have the facilities to do it. But there are other species that today we actually have to take out of the county for the rehabilitation process. Birds of prey happen to be one of them, and then bring them back to release in Napa County. So when we're doing that, Michelle, we're actually leaning on the resources of the other nonprofits outside the county. We're using our resources to get them there, and we're stressing the animals. So one of the goals that we have this year, I consider it a birthday year for us as well as an anniversary, is that we're curing that. So for raptors, we're installing a facility up at the clinic where we'll be able to handle them in the valley. And then we have just kicked off a capital campaign, and the goal of that is to get a full range facility where we not only have a hospital, but display and event space to help people engage with wildlife.
And you have a lot of fundraisers and also a gala to help you out with that, with raising that money for the facility. We
do. The capital campaign certainly is a fundraiser, and a cornerstone of that's going to be our gala, which is at the Castillo de Amorosa on the 22nd of this month. So I encourage anybody to take a look at that. And then we have fundraisers throughout the year, certainly, to operationally keep going.
All right. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for bringing Maddie. Maddie's not used to the studio lights and the camera, but she did a good job. So thanks. For more information about the Wildlife Rescue Center of Napa County, please log on to napawildliferescue.org. Again, that's napawildliferescue.org. Coming up, the author of a collection of short stories. We'll be right back.